Hello, folks. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make a gingerbread recipe from 1698 by Catharine Cotton. It is extremely easy, and I'm very excited to show you how to make this very cool recipe. So, first, it's important to go over the recipe itself before we get started. So, she says to make gingerbread, take 2 pounds of brown sugar, put to it a pound and a quarter of butter and a half pint of milk. Set it ye fire and make it just warm enough to melt ye butter, and take some flour and put to it 3 ounces of ginger to make it in a stiff paste. So, although we do not have very many baking instructions, I'm going to be baking this at 350 for 10 minutes to see how that does, because I find that most cookies are good for that. So to start off, I'm just going to be measuring all of the ingredients out first. This is just the brown sugar. All of the ingredient list and amounts are going to be in the description below. So if you're interested in making this yourself, just make sure to check out the description. And here I'm adding the butter. And then the ginger is next. And I wanted to peel this ginger before actually measuring it because I knew that that would take away from the weight of it. I did everything by weight and not cups or anything. And I did use a food processor. So I know that Catharine Cotton probably did not have one in 1698, but my chopping skills are awful and I could not find a mortar and pestle like I wanted to. So this is what we had to do. So here I'm using oat milk, although the recipe does call for oat milk I found worked fine. So if you are going to not use normal milk, you can use something that's a thicker consistency. So not coconut milk or almond milk, but oat milk or cashew, I find would work better. So I've started with my butter. I ended up warming it up in the microwave for a couple seconds to make sure that it was soft to the touch, so it was easier to cream up. I do not have a fire readily available for me, so I am using the microwave for this recipe just because it is a bit easier, and I do have things that she might not have had in the past. So after I creamed up the butter, I added the brown sugar into it and I mixed it up until it was as combined as I could get it. So here I'm adding the oat milk to the creamed butter and sugar. I do wish that I kind of added it a lot slower because it was kind of difficult to mix up and combine correctly. So that's just one observation that I had while making this recipe. Now, the recipe says to warm up the butter just enough so that it can melt and combine with the other ingredients. So I did put this in the microwave for 10 seconds at a time. I mixed it, another 10 seconds, mixed it, and so on until the butter was completely melted and everything combined how it should. So the recipe did not say how much flour to use. It just said enough to form a stiff paste. So I just did it in a couple increments of spoonfuls. I'm not sure how much I ended up using in all, but I would just kind of do it by eye, mix it up, see if it's stiff enough, and so on. So when it started getting a little bit thicker, I decided to add the ginger in, and then I just started stirring that up until it was well distributed. And then again here, I just keep adding flour until it's the consistency that I think cookies should kind of be. Because I don't think that these are a rollout type dough, I didn't make them that thick. It wasn't a dough, it did say paste. So I just try to stay with the consistency that she described in the actual recipe itself. Once I got the consistency that I thought was good, I preheated the oven to 350 degrees. And while that was preheating, I got ready my pan and the parchment paper. I was not sure how these would spread, although they don't have any spreading or rising agent in them. I just wasn't sure if they were going to go completely flat. So I made sure to not overcrowd the baking sheet, although I definitely could have put more on. I decided to bake them for 10 minutes. I think that these ones were probably in for about 11 by the time I actually was able to get them out. But it seemed to be a very good cooking time for them. Although they do look quite pale on the tops, their bottoms were perfectly golden brown, and I was very excited to see how they were going to taste because they did actually smell very gingery. And I'm used to gingerbread being that kind of dark molassesy color, but these were very, very pale. And right here, this one was straight out of the oven. You can see the steam. This one was about 30 minutes after. It did continue cooking, but it is extremely dense. Now, I did try one today and they have even changed more. They're a lot drier now, but still very good and still moist for the most part. That is how I made a gingerbread recipe from 1698. If you are interested in making your own, there will be information in the description below. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.